Well, hello my beautiful and amazing crafters. Welcome to another video of Crafting with Shanita. In today's video, it's going to be part 2 of how to plan a baby shower like a pro. A few weeks ago, I uploaded part 1 of how to plan a baby shower like a pro, and in that video, I give you some tips on how to create your own DIY baby shower invitation, how to make personalized games for the baby shower, and even a really cute way to wrap the pins for the baby shower game. And as promised in that video, I want to bring you part 2 of how to plan a baby shower like a pro. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to make your own party favors, how to make these really cute party treats, and a unique way to even wrap the baby shower gifts. So let's get started. So even though I love paper favors and paper crafts, I really don't like making boxes. That's the one thing I really dread doing, is making your own DIY gift box or party favor box. So I wanted to try something different and kind of think outside the box. And I bought these pre-made party favor boxes, and the idea was I was just gonna measure them and make it a 3-day box with my own design to cover up the original design, which would have worked, I think, if I just chose like a square box. But since this box had a little slight curve at the top, it was a little hard to just match it up perfectly, but I did the best that I could because I already had purchased the boxes and I didn't want it to go to waste. And what I decided to do was just personalize the boxes to go with the theme of the baby shower, and I created the design again in Canva with the design I had already created for the invitation and the games, etc. And these boxes, they were really nice and sturdy. They weren't the cutest, but I said, hey, I am a crafter and I'm going to make these work. I went ahead and removed the little bee that came with the box because I'm going to replace it with my Winnie the Pooh. And I designed this little scalloped 3D topper to put in front of the box and added a little bow. Now, if you like this idea and you want an in-depth video on how to create this yourself from start to finish, let me know in the description box below. And what I'll do is I'll order a different style box and I'll create a detailed video for you. So I added some little pearls on the corners of the boxes. And now it's the look that I'm going for. And I wanted to add one final personalized touch to the party favors by adding the parent's name on the ribbon and using some heat transfer and using some gold HTV. I added the parent's name to the end of the ribbon with my mini heat press. So just by adding that little small detail made a huge difference in the final outcome of these party favors. And I'll be sure to add the link to part 1 if you haven't watched it already, so you could get all these gems that I'm showing in the videos. I wanted a unique way to wrap the baby shower gift instead of just putting it in a gift bag, and I thought it'd be a really cute way, a cute idea, to use a stuffed balloon to put in the outfit I bought for the baby shower. Now there's different types of stuffed balloons that you can use. There's the one that I have here that has a wide neck to allow you to place oversized items into the balloon. And then there's also a standard stuffed balloon where you would have to cut it or slice it and then seal it after stuffing your item if it's an oversized item. Everything that I'm going to use in today's video, I'll have it on my Amazon storefront. But for today, to make it easier, I'm going to be using the wide neck stuffing Bobo balloons for today's project. So I'm going to get all my materials together as I'm kind of pre-stretching the balloon, and I'm going to be using a zip tie to help feed in the fishing line into the nozzle of the wide neck balloon. So this is the outfit that I'm going to put in place and stuff into the balloon. It's a little Winnie the Pooh outfit with a little hat. So cute. And what I did, because I didn't want to use a hanger, a baby hanger, so I just used a balloon stick and cut it down to size, and I just adhered it really well onto the balloon stick with some clothespins. So using a pretty long piece of fishing line, on one end I secured it well to the balloon stick that has the baby onesie, and the other end I'm going to just fish it through the zip tie and tie it and secure it. So I'm going to use the zip tie later to help feed the outfit through the little nozzle on the stuffed balloon, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Okay, so now that I have all of that out of the way, I'm going to very carefully put my hand through the wide neck opening of the stuffed balloon, being very careful and gentle, well, as careful as I can not to cut it with my nails. And what I'm doing is I'm going to put the zip tie through with the fishing line attached, and I'm going to feed it through the top nozzle. So just taking my time, trying to stay in camera, guys. I'm sorry if I'm out of frame. So I've already pulled and stretched the balloon. It comes pre-stretched, but I went ahead and stretched it a little bit more. And then you see this little thin nozzle? That's what I'm going to feed the fishing line through. And that's why I attached it to the zip tie. So it's a lot easier than just trying to feed a little piece of fishing line through this plastic nozzle. And just being very careful. I know it looks like I'm not, but I'm being very careful not to tear and make any holes. And I'm just going to pull that all the way through. I'm going to be tying this off later, but I just want to get this part out of the way before I put the outfit into the balloon that's secured with that balloon stick. All right, so that way I'm putting the outfit, so that way the top where the zip tie, where the fishing line is attached, is facing up next to that nozzle. So that way when I pull the string with the zip tie, that would help the outfit sit up. So this would be the top of the balloon. So before I just tie the wide neck, I'm just going to stuff it with some paper. Later on, after finishing this, I wish I put some little cute mini balloons inside. I think that would have looked so much better. But I'll be doing this again, and you know, I'll post another video on what I would do better the next time. So now that everything's stuffed and in the right position, I'm going to take the wide mouth of the balloon and I'm going to tie it tight. Again, just being careful I don't poke any holes. So this balloon ends up having 2 knots, a knot for the wide mouth opening and a little knot up top where you put your fishing line through. So it's one of those things, if you use the regular boho balloon, you would have to cut a little slice and then seal it and just make sure it's sealed properly so you wouldn't have these 2 knots that I'm going to have here. So it's just your preference. I'm going to be hiding this second knot with a piece of ribbon, but at least you have different options on stuffing items in a big balloon. So now that knot is nice and secured, I'm going to take my balloon pump and using the smaller nozzle, I'm going to add air to the balloon. You can use a hand pump, but I just thought it was easier just to use my balloon pump machine. And then once it was pumped up as full as I wanted it, I took the fishing line and that nozzle and made a tight knot again, and then cut away the excess plastic. And then I found this little holder at the Dollar Tree and just added a little personalized sign. And I'm using the ribbon to hide the 2 knots that were tied into the balloon. And I stuffed the bottom with some paper and it's really nice and secure. So I felt like something was missing, so I went and up to my craft room and decided to cut out the word welcome baby with some adhesive vinyl, and I just added that to the balloon just to give it a little extra touch. And just very carefully using some transfer tape that's not that sticky, I took my time and adhered the words onto the balloon. So I went ahead and added another little bow on top and finalized this look. The mom-to-be loved this presentation of the outfit and it really stood out. Such a great idea. I'm glad I tried it. I hope you give it a try too. So last but not least, I wanted to make some party treats for the baby shower. I wanted something really quick and easy to do, so I decided to dip some pretzels in white chocolate. So I went to my local Walmart and I just picked up some glitter, edible glitter and sprinkles. I picked up a bag of caramels because I plan on wrapping some of these around a few of the pretzels to do some caramel covered, chocolate covered pretzels. I picked up a box of fondant and some cookie icing in the color black. And I had these plastic liners that I'm going to use to place the pretzels in once they're all completed. I started off using almond bark to melt down, and I planned on using that to dip the pretzels, which worked great, but later on I ended up switching to just the white chocolate, meltable white chocolate. And again, everything I'm using, I will have it listed under my Amazon storefront and also in the description box below. So using a microwave safe dish, I just melted down the chocolate in intervals of 30 seconds till it was completely melted and I was ready to dip. I let it cool for just a little bit before I started dipping. Now taking my pretzel, I just kind of eyeballed it to see how far down I want to go down the pretzel. And I started with this measuring cup, but I later transferred to a more deeper cup for a better dip. So I continued to dip the pretzels and I placed them on the parchment paper to allow them to start to dry. I continued the process with about half of the pretzels. Now I wanted to add some caramel to a few of the pretzels. So what I did is I took one of the I took one of the caramel chews and I just microwaved it I placed it in the microwave for less than like 3-4 seconds. Just enough time for it to get really soft and pliable. And I just rubbed it in between my hand and started to slowly stretch out that caramel. And just starting with the very top of the pretzel, I just kind of pressed it in to the salt of the pretzel. And just taking my time, I rolled the caramel around the pretzel rod. And at first I did kind of start with the big space in between. And then the more I did it, I kind of stretched it out, the caramel a little bit more and was able to have it hang a lot further down the pretzel rod. So I continued the process of dipping the pretzel rods with the caramel. And I placed it in my freezer for about 10-15 minutes. And then using some of the almond bark that I had left over, I just created my little drizzle effect with a piping bag and just added that sugar topping on top. So I couldn't complete this project without including my Cricut machine. So I wanted to add an extra little touch to the chocolate covered pretzel rods. So that I decided to make a stencil with the word honey using some mylar sheets that I purchased online. And let me show you how I was able to make the stencil and how I plan to use it on future projects as well. So I want to make a stencil using some mylar stencil sheets. I'll have everything I use listed in the description box below. I plan on using some fondant and cookie icing to cut out this word honey to place on my pretzels and cookies. So in order to do that, I'm going to just type the word out, going up and down. I've already done a horizontal. Now I want to do a vertical look. And I'm just going to reduce the spacing between each of the letters and just align everything. It's nice and aligned. I'm going to bring in a shape. I'm going to bring in this square. And what I'm going to do is just make it large enough so that way I have enough room to spread my cookie icing without it getting all over my fondant. And I'll show you when I get ready to prepare. I'm going to attach everything and send it to my Cricut Maker to cut. And I'll be using the acetate option with more pressure. So let me show you all the items that I used to make this cookie icing fondant stencil. And everything that I'm going to show, I will have it listed under my Amazon storefront. So the start of the show is the mylar stencil. This is what I used to cut on my Cricut Maker to create the stencil. use fondant, some cookie icing. I chose the color black, but you could choose any cookie icing that you choose. And I needed some type of scraper, so I used this cupcake divider as my scraper. I had my rolling pin to help roll out the fondant. Now you can use a little bit of oil. I had some coconut oil or even some shortening just to help the fondant from sticking on to your mat. I'm going to be using a silicone mat to roll out my fondant. I noticed this worked a lot better than just my wood mat or a plastic mat. Sorry guys, I missed the video of me loading this into my maker, but I cut this out with my Cricut maker and then just removed the mylar strips from my green clean mat. And what I did is to carefully just remove the unwanted pieces. I moved away from my cooking area and just sat in a clean area, so that way I didn't leave any pieces of plastic in the stencil. So I went ahead and just cut a small piece of the fondant. It's pretty thick, and this was really a small project, so I didn't need much. So I just cut a small piece and I put the rest away in a nice airtight bag. So I'm going to place a little bit of coconut oil on my silicone mat. This is optional, but I noticed this really helped with releasing the fondant from the silicone mat. So using a paper towel, I'm just going to rub this in because I don't want too much. I don't want my fondant to be greasy. I just wanted to get a little release from the mat. Now using my rolling pin, I'm going to gently just spread out and roll out the fondant. I don't want it too thin, but I don't want it too thick. So I'm just finding that perfect medium. Now I'm going to put my fondant right on top, and again, that's why I left a lot of room around my lettering, so when I go to spread the icing, I don't have to worry about it getting all over my fondant. I'm just putting a little bit of oil on the fondant and then placing my stencil right on top. And now that my stencil is right on top of my fondant, using the cookie icing, I'm just going to squeeze a little bit on top, and with my scraper tool, just scrape it over the stencil. And you don't need much, just a little. And I went over it just a few times, going from up and down, left to right. And then I just wiped away the excess off of the spatula. It was a small project. I made a few stencils so I can use, but you definitely can wash this with cool warm water and reuse them, but I just made extra. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove all the extra fondant and then allow this to completely dry before I adhere them to my chocolate covered pretzel rods. All I have to do now is just adhere the fondant onto the pretzel rod, and I'll do that by using a little bit of white chocolate on the back and just allowing that to set. And those plastic sleeves that I showed you earlier were the perfect size to add my finished pretzel rod. I forgot to mention how I pipe my chocolate just to make that drizzle effect, so let me show you really quick. So just placing some melted chocolate into a little cup and placing the piping bag inside the cup, I just pressed all the chocolate down to the bottom and made sure it's nice and secured. And I just took a scissors and cut a very, very small slice into the bottom of the piping bag. And I created my drizzle just going back and forth. It did take me a little bit of practice just to get that perfect rhythm and consistency, but it all turned out great in the end. And before the white chocolate got a chance to settle, I just added a little bit of sprinkles on top just for a little final decor. Well, I think everything turned out amazing. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned a little bit or a lot, and we cannot wait to see you on the next video of Crafting with Shanita. Happy crafting!